Thought I'd make a quick demo of our Atlas Growth Model software, just so you can see kind of a quick overview of all the different scenarios, all the data it gives you. And the first thing that's important to note is we try to make it simple and use historical, already prepared information that your organization probably has. And what I mean by that is typically we just need an income statement, a balance sheet, a job schedule, and then a little knowledge about your assumptions and a budget for future expenses. Assuming everything is accurate and timely and you have good cutoff on all of those things, we can plug all that information into the model. And what you see here is a quick dashboard look at what your current year-to-date results are, compare it to last year if you'd like. And then on the P&L and the balance sheet, you can look at where you're projected, as I mentioned, using that already prepared data, where you're projected to end the year, and then also next year. So as you start building backlog, or as you put in the budget of expenses, you can look at, in this case, not only what are you projected to make or how short are you to making money, but what is your break even. So all of these can be changed on the fly, so you can do various scenarios and kind of game or model what the best, worst, most likely case is for the company, and then pick a direction and get everybody helping focus on attaining that goal or going in that direction. Same thing over here on the balance sheet. We again have some historical data, last year, current year to date, and these are updated as you close each month, and so you get ongoing historical data that is input each month as you close that month. And then again, as you update using that data and adding funnel for your sales funnel, new projects, expected projects, so on and so forth, we can then go in and model what is your working capital, your equity, the important categories on the balance sheet, what do those look like? And again, looking out another year. So you can get all of that on this dashboard page just at a glance. And as well over here, some all-important financial ratios for the accounting, banking, and finance people. We track the important ones that most people want to see or they usually ask about. And then we have a simple cash calculator, just not a catchy name, but it's pretty useful. You can go in and see what net income and EBITDA is just a fancy acronym for cash, essentially, is going to be for the year. And then you can plug in a tax rate. You can do some playing around with your debt payments, a couple, 3 or 4 categories you may want to set aside some cash or plan cash payments around, and then you can hit calculate and it will show you how short are you. So just something simple, kind of a back of the envelope tool, just because we have so many people ask as you get into the 3rd and 4th quarter, am I going to have enough for bonuses? What do I need for taxes? Things like that. So you can just get in here as you update your numbers and run some quick checks on your cash to see what that looks like or is expected to look like. And then down below, we just have that same data I mentioned above in graphs. If you're a visual person, you can look on here, see if the trends are going the right way, see if everything looks good, or if you want to just look at the colors, you can do that as well. Another thing on the dashboard section, which I should mention, the dashboard side of options is the outputs. Over here, you see the My Company side, that's the inputs. So this is where you start with your goals, your assumptions, inputting and updating your job schedule, balance sheet, income statement, and then your budget. So that's where all of it goes in, and then the fun part is getting over here to the dashboard. So back here to the projections, if you want to get a more detailed or granular look, what we can do is an income statement and a balance sheet. This is just a job schedule list, so I don't focus on it as much, but we can do these 2 important financial statements, project out by month up to 2 years. So you have the current and 2 future years, so you can project out, expand this if you'd like, and if you have the data, if you want to do that sort of detailed long-range planning, you can do that by month. The other thing to cover on the income statement projection, so you can see we have divisions in here or departments. You can break those down. We have the actual and the forecasted revenue by month. Get into the all-important gross profit, profit margin. In this case, we have some indirect expense budgets. We have percentages. We have the G&A budget. And really where I'm getting to is all the way at the bottom. What we put in is projected net income by month. You can see here is our forecasted results based on what we have in backlog, and I'll get to changing and gaming those here in a second. But the other thing we have besides net income and EBITDA and the percentages is a break-even calculation. So let's say you're looking ahead to May and you're short and you want to know how much. Well, we do a simple calculation down here so you can see, okay, I'm this much short these months, I'm getting closer these months. So you can do some planning so you can see, okay, how far out am I making money and when do I need to start looking at pulling some more work back into that month, or starting early, or trying to focus on some specific size or type of projects that could land and get me some revenue in those months. So you can do, again, some detailed by-month planning out to 2 years. The other thing we have is a balance sheet. So that also gives you a really good look. As you can see here, we've got, again, actuals and forecasted months. But as I was saying, it gives you a good look at your balance sheet health, your cash. So you can see in this case, we've got $15,000 in cash. This additional working capital, what that says is, when are we going to start seeing our cash build up from the work or the backlog that we've got, based on the margin and how we think the job's going to end and when it's going to end. So you can see here, this doesn't show us really seeing the benefit of additional cash from our work. So the next thing I'm just going to roll through. So we've got AR, the other current assets. So next thing to do would be go down and say, okay, well, what do I need? Well, you need some liquidity to fund these operations, obviously. So the other side of that is we can go down here and do some planning around your line of credit. So you can see here, we may need up to $2 million in additional working capital to put in the work that we've got. So it lets you ask a series of questions about your workload, your organization, what help you may need to go get. Then you can start looking at, do I have the borrowing base to get the working capital I need? Can I go negotiate it? If I let my bank know, will they help me out? Can I change under and over billings? Can I change my collection and payment terms? So this gives you a future look at all of these important categories, specifically driven around cash, so you can do some planning so you're not at the 11th hour surprised when you can't make payroll, or you've got a whole bunch of payables coming up that you thought you were going to be able to pay. Comes to find out you actually are going to be short, and now you're scrambling. So you can kind of use it hopefully to model and see over the horizon, and get a better, earlier look at how your business is going to perform. Now, the other nice thing about this, just rolling back up here, again, you can do by month up to 3 years if you want. But the nice thing about this is we can go to the job schedule, and as we put in work, update it each month. But what we can do is add work. So let's say, I'm just going to go to detail here. We've got projects, and for instance, let's say we wanted to add a job. Well, I have this one in here, so I'm going to take it to make it active. It was 100% complete. Let's say we want to see, well, we've got this middle school. We landed this second phase, and it's going to start, it's quick. We've got to do a ton of work, and we've got very little time to do it. What does that do to us? So we can save it. We put it in. You can adjust any of the current work. You can add new work. Well, so you can see, okay, well, we're going to have, using some simple assumptions, we're going to have a big change in our volume and probably our manpower needs, or subs, and the availability to have them on this job performing in this short duration. So that's what revenue looks like. So then we would want to go back and say, okay, well, what does that do to our year? So we can go back to the dashboard and just refresh. And what that does is the model goes in and looks at all of these assumptions, the dates, the time frames that you're going to do the work, your percent complete and your margin, your projected expenses, and it says, okay, well, if you do that, you're now going to flip from a loss at the end of the year to about $66,000 in profit. You're going to go from, I think we were negative working capital to positive working capital. So all of that looks good. At a year-end point in time, things look good. So let's say we want to go back here to, again, the output side, go to the projections, and we want to see, well, what does that do on a month-to-month basis? So if we needed to add some overhead to get some manpower to help us man it that wasn't job costed. We needed some staff to support us, or we needed a PM, things like that. We can plug those in down here in overhead or G&A, and then we can again model by month what that does to our financials. The other big part I like to do with this that's really helpful is, again, we're back on the balance sheet. So we go to the balance sheet, and again, we're not generating a lot of cash yet because of the terms that we get, but we now know that we may need over 3 million, maybe up to 3.6, 3.7 million in cash to fund this. So it's back to, you can see, adding large work, which we all like to get because it gives us some security that we know we're going to be doing this project for this length of time, or we know we can add this much to the bottom line. Well, the next question is, can we cash flow it? So you can look at it on here and say, well, we may need that much. Does our borrowing base, our AR, support it? Well, that may or it may not. That's you have to look at your covenants and your ratios and what the criteria is for your borrowing base and your banking relationship. But you do have something to go and talk to them about, to show them, here's what our plan is, here's when we get it, here's when it's going to start paying back. So you can see how this can help you with not just looking at your financial picture, but doing some scenario planning to make the most out of the work you've got, to figure out how to maximize your cash, not strain your cash or your finances, and also pick the jobs, pick the right jobs, focus on specific jobs to drive performance in your organization. One last thing to show you on here, I mentioned we can check all of these other scenarios and assumptions. We can go in here and say, well, if we got this big job, AR's at 90 days, what happens if we change terms and we can negotiate and our average days for the company goes from 90 down to 50 or 60, 70? We can change all of these scenarios in here related to when we get paid and also when we pay. So you can do various scenarios on here to see how am I maximizing my performance, not only net income and bottom line wise, but cash wise, and maximizing my balance sheet health. So that's a quick run through. I covered quite a bit. Hopefully this gives you a feel for what you can do with a projection model like the growth model. If you have any other questions, reach out to us, and look forward to talking to you. Thank you very much.